Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for tuning in to WDG Underground Columbus, home of the unsung artist. And welcome to a special birthday show edition of Big C in the Morning, the Friday morning show that starts your Friday morning off right in your weekend early. How's everybody doing today? And holy moly, it is the birthday show for me. Yes, it's my birthday, and I actually remembered to unmute myself, so yay. Yay, that deserves a round of applause. Yeah, I just had to do that. I just had to do that. Because holy moly, I cannot believe that it's not, well, technically it's not really my birthday. My birthday's in about like 3 days, so I'm celebrating it early. Technically, I'm actually definitely celebrating early because Sunday is where we do the big celebration. So you're probably asking what am I gonna get for my birthday, and I'm gonna answer that real quick. I already got my birthday. As you can see, this is a new shirt I just got. I got it from my work. Just Us Buckeyes. I actually like this shirt. I like this shirt really, really good. Like they wore this shirt during like the Big Ten tournament and the NCAA men's basketball tournament, the Ohio State men's basketball team, they wore these shirts, but they were the long sleeves, and I wondered if they had short sleeves, and they have short sleeves. I prefer short sleeve shirts over long sleeves. I also got a couple new video games, 4 new video games, and I also bought myself a new controller because I'm gonna need a new controller if one of my other controllers die on me. Like, they just completely don't work for me anymore. And so yeah, that's what I got for my birthday. I don't know what my other family members got me, but hopefully it's something nice. Or they just didn't send me anything at all. I mean, it doesn't matter. If they just say happy birthday, it'll be totally fine. But I would also like presents too. I mean, I like presents, and I kind of want presents. So yeah. But anyways, I have 2 topics to talk about today, and they relate to me. Thank goodness something relates to me on this show today. Well, a lot of things probably relate to me during the show, but these are important topics because this adds up to the number 20. The 2 topics, they add up to 20. So, and basically it's 2 top 10 lists. So yeah, I thought it was a little neat. So I've got 2 top 10 lists for you today as the 2 topics, and they're basically the best and worst films I've seen in my 20 years here on this earth. So yeah, hopefully you guys will enjoy me speaking about these movies and give my own little descriptions. Basically, it's like an episode of Siskel and Ebert. If you haven't seen Siskel and Ebert or Ebert and Roper, then you're missing out. Seriously, those guys, they can really, review movies like that good. So, let's get down to it. Let's go over my top 10 least favorite films of all time. So, I had to change this list up a bit. And I think I like how it's listed. So, without further ado, here's the list. So, starting at number 10, I went with iRobot. The main reason why I didn't like iRobot is because it didn't make sense to me, and I felt like it was very fast paced and didn't have a lot of plot. Now, I know the movie stars Will Smith, and he does a really good job in that movie. But I just feel like the plot just goes from one thing to another, and it's all about this doctor who somehow is killed by a AI robot, and basically, it just goes from back and forth, and it goes from present to like past and dreams, and it was like a big pile of, it was like a big mashup of stuff, and it was just crazy. I couldn't keep up with the movie. I was like, what? And it's one of those sci-fi movies that, you know, it looks cool, but, it's probably not that good. So, yeah, number 10, I, Robot. It wasn't that good. I mean, Will Smith does a great performance. The plot and story just didn't go well with it. So, yeah. Number 9, I had 10 Things I Hate About You. Now, I have a story about this movie. Because this was supposed to be like based off of William Shakespeare's A Midsummer's Night's Dream. Well, I'm here to tell you that it has nothing to do with Shakespeare's A Midsummer's Night's Dream. I try to find, the exact similarities, and there were no similarities. Basically, I was bored out of my mind for this movie. And to tell you the truth, I was so bored that I was like, can this movie end quickly? But here's the thing, so back in middle school, we were actually watching the movie in like the gymnasium, and like, like we were watching it, and then all of a sudden, like, everybody stopped caring about watching the movie, and they just started to talk, talk, and then all of a sudden, like the teachers, they said, "Okay, movie's over. Go back to class." And we never got to see the rest of the movie. Which means that, that they took an hour of my time, like probably 30 minutes to an hour of my time away. I could have been learning US history, in that classroom, in like class. I could have been learning a lot of stuff in class, but no. Apparently, watching, that movie was a waste of time. And I know the teachers knew it was a waste of time because they knew it probably wasn't a good film. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, but it's a really good film, Colton. You should know that it's like a really good film. Well, it's not a good film. It's terrible. I feel like it's a film for girls. And, there are some guys in it, like Heath Ledger's in it. And I feel bad for him in this movie. He should not have gotten the contract to do this movie. Because why? He's Heath Ledger. He can do better movies than that. So, yeah, thumbs down for 10 Things I Hate About You. So, moving on to number 8. I have Ghostbusters. Not the 1984 version, but the 2016 version with all the women. Now, no disrespect to, all those guys in there, like Melissa McCarthy, Leslie Jones, and I forget who else was in it. I know one other. I just saw her in a commercial recently for like Tostitos. Who was it? I'm looking it up right now. Kate McKinnon. Like Kristen Wiig, Kate McKinnon, Melissa McCarthy, Leslie Jones, they put a pretty good performance, and even Chris Hemsworth did a pretty good performance. But, I feel like, I enjoyed the movie. I enjoyed the movie when it was first released, but looking at it back now, I feel like some things could have been better. Like, there's a lot of good stuff in it, but I feel like it can also be, like, a whole lot better. Like, what if, they just, they just go into the ghost world? Like, it could be, like, different from all the other Ghostbusters movies. Like, I know there's Stay Puft and other things, but what if the final battle between, the ghost guy who's, like, trying to take over the world, what if he took them all into the ghost world, and that would be like, trying to, do a script of like trying to get what Dan Aykroyd was trying to do in for like a third Ghostbusters movie that he wrote back in 1991. Because honestly, if they could have like added a few more special effects and a few more like other cool stuff, it could have been like a big hit. But yeah, sadly, it just didn't make the cut for me. So it made the cut for me back in 2016. Right now, probably not. Oh well. So yeah, Ghostbusters 2016, number 8. Number 7, Big Daddy, starring Adam Sandler. Now, I put this movie at number 7 is because, well, I didn't really get it. All it is just Adam Sandler's is just, taking care of a guy, of like his friend's kid who his friend doesn't know he has. And surprisingly, stuff ensues, and it kind of made no sense. I felt bad for Adam Sandler in this movie, because I know he probably made that movie. I'm not sure, but I don't know why I decided to watch that movie. I had no idea. I don't even know why I bought that movie. But the only good part of the movie is when Adam Sandler said, "Can somebody get this kid a Happy Meal?" That's the only funny part in the movie. That part is just truly amazing, and it deserves a round of applause. So yeah, that's the only applause that movie gets. And it gets number 7 on the list. Just because I didn't get it, and I thought only one part of the movie was funny. So, yeah. Number 6. Everybody's going to be shocked with number 6. I have here Batman Returns. Now, the reason why I say Batman Returns is because I thought it was cool, but it was a little too violent. Like, Batman killed somebody. Now, yeah, there's a scene in the movie where, like, Batman kills somebody with his Batmobile. Like, he turns the car on, and then boosh, a big ball of fire just catches one guy on fire and initially kills him. Now, a lot of people say in the Batman universe that Batman doesn't kill. But in the old comics, he actually did kill people. He actually had a gun, and he killed, like, bad guys. That was in the old comics. But now, present day, he doesn't kill anybody. Especially in Batman Begins, like the reboot, the Batman Begins, like he didn't kill Ra's al Ghul, as he said in the movie, because Batman said he's not gonna kill him, but he didn't have to save him either. He just left him on the train where Ra's al Ghul died. So yeah, but Batman Returns was a little too violent. Especially when Catwoman, Selena Kyle, was pushed out of a window and she hit the ground, and then the cats start gnawing on her. It's just creepy and violent. But I think the one that kind of killed it for Tim Burton when he got booted off the franchise as director was when the Penguin died a gruesome death. And when I saw that, I was like, geez, that's a little depressing. Like, seriously. And then having all those penguins carry him and putting him, like, burying him in the water, that had me all depressed, man. That was a little depressing. But it's okay. It's an okay film. It could be a little not scarier, but oh well. And especially, but there's actually a funny thing when the penguin bites some guy's nose. I thought that was funny. But especially it wasn't a Happy Meal promotion. And a little fun fact, McDonald's was supposed to do a Batman Returns, toy thing, but they actually canceled it because the movie was so violent. Well, at least you could say Tim Burton tried. He tried. But yeah. Batman Returns, it's cool, it's actiony, but it needs like less violence. That's just my say. Anyways, number 5. We're getting into like what I believe is like terrible and boring. And we're starting off number 5 with Night of the Headless Horseman. Now, this was a Halloween special, like TV special, that was aired on Fox back in 1999. It had like an all-star cast. Like, seriously, Luke Perry was in this film. And I'm going to pull up the official cast list. Because here we go. The Night of the Headless Horseman. It had, like, Luke Perry was in it. William H. Macy was in it. Mark Hamill. Debbie Derryberry, who was the voice of Jimmy Neutron. Bill Fagerbakke, who is the voice of Patrick Star. And even Clancy Brown was in this movie. The guy who played Byron Hadley in The Shawshank Redemption, some army general or like some kind of army guy in Starship Troopers, and Mr. Krabs on SpongeBob. And there's even Tia Carey. I know Tia Carey. She was in Wayne's World and Wayne's World 2. So yeah, this was an all-star studded cast. And oh my goodness, like, to be honest with you guys, the animation in that television movie was terrible. It was terrible. I first saw this on VHS, and I was like, okay, uh-huh. When I was a kid, I was going like, okay. Well, this might be something to watch for me. I watched it, and oh boy, it was terrible. It was terrible. I was like, what is this? What is this? Imagine if Rhapsody Street Kids Save Christmas. Rhapsody Street Kids Save Christmas got mixed in with Disney. That's what The Night of the Headless Horseman is. It's terrible. A terrible animated Halloween film that is terrible. Just terrible. Honestly, the animation could have been a little better, but, you know, back in 1999, those guys, they probably were, you know, I don't know, just lazy. But also, I recommend there should be a remaster of this movie, because I believe it could be better with better animation. Just keep the voices and get a better animation. So yeah, The Night of the Headless Horseman, 1999, on the number 5 spot. Now, number 4 is Movie 43. Now, let me tell you something. This is terrible. Movie 43 is terrible. Because, imagine you got a bunch of Hollywood's greatest stars to do a bunch of short films, and then you combine every single short film to make one huge film that's more than an hour and a half. That's what it is. It's a bunch of short films, you know, compiled in together to make one big film. And it's terrible. Like, seriously, every single one of these short films are terrible. And it's all because, you know, these kids wanted to find the secret movie 43 that's not even existing. It's just a bunch of short films. Like, seriously. It's boring, it's terrible, and I feel bad for all these actors who had to clear time out of their schedule to do this movie. Like Halle Berry was in it, Angelina Jolie, Hugh Jackman, Johnny Knoxville, Patrick Warburton, a lot of good actors that, just wasted time and stuff in this movie. And it's just terrible. I don't recommend movie 43. It's terrible. It's a bunch of short films that lead up to absolutely nothing. Very, very terrible. Anyways, time to move on. Number 3, Hugo. Now you're probably wondering, what is Hugo? Well, if you haven't read the book, The Invention of Hugo Cabret, that's basically the movie version. It's just Hugo. Not The Invention of Hugo Cabret, but just Hugo. Wow. That's just... wow. Great title for a movie, guys. Just put the first name of the main character in there. And what's shocking about it, it's directed by legendary director Martin Scorsese. Seriously. This guy went from, making mafia movies to, making a children's film based off of a book. I saw Hugo. I actually wanted to see Hugo in the theaters. But, I didn't, so I got it on DVD. And when I first saw it, I nearly fell asleep. It was boring. Nothing was action-packed about it. I tried to like this movie. I tried, but it was just terrible. Terrible. I feel bad for all the actors in that movie. I even felt bad for Sacha Baron Cohen, who played the conductor. I didn't know Sacha Baron Cohen was supposed to be the bad guy. I thought he was supposed to be a good guy, but I guess not. Because I know Sacha Baron Cohen. He's been in a lot of great movies. Basically, for a bunch of his characters like Ali G and Borat, but him as the conductor, I didn't see him fit in that role. I felt like, the conductor could have been like a little, more tough and stuff. And besides, the conductor saved Hugo's life at the end, which I think in the book, Hugo just faints. Or something, I don't know. And I was like, that's not... like, a lot of stuff is not relatable to the book. And I know books and movies don't, be the same, but it just doesn't work for this movie. So that's why Hugo gets number 3. Number 2. Number 2 on the list for least favorite movies, Battlefield Earth. Now, Battlefield Earth is basically another novel based off another movie-based novel, or novel-based movie. And the book Battlefield Earth was written by L. Ron Hubbard, and I didn't read the book because I didn't have to for school. And basically, L. Ron Hubbard founded the Church of Scientology. So, yeah, and I don't know Scientology, so. And this movie clearly shows that I had known nothing about Scientology or anything about Battlefield Earth. Because it's just confusing. Like, there's aliens, and then the aliens take over Earth, and then there's a big old rebellion. And then one of the aliens was technically a traitor and basically only wanted gold and stuff. And I don't know, John Travolta was in it and he was the bad guy. And I did not understand a single thing in that movie. And that's why it bombed. Bombed so bad that it's been declared one of the worst movies of all time. So, yeah. Pretty terrible. And thank goodness I don't have to watch that movie again. And now for my number 1 pick. But before that, I want to give an honorable mention. One honorable mention, and that is to Rhapsody Street Kids Believe in Santa. Reason why? Weird animation, a somewhat okay story, and, it's just weird. It's just weird, and it doesn't feel like it flows, so, yeah. And also, they said there was going to be another movie, but unfortunately, there was never another Rhapsody Street Kids movie. It was only that one movie, the Christmas movie. The next movie would have been an Easter movie, but it never ever came to be, so yeah. Excuse me. Okay. Number one least favorite movie of all time that I've seen. And it's called North. What North is all about is a kid wants to be emancipated from his parents, who are played by Julia Louis-Dreyfus and Jason Alexander, who are from Seinfeld. And they were still doing Seinfeld when they did this movie, which is kind of crazy. And then North goes to all these parents around the country and the world, to see, who would be a better fit for him. And then this kid who's like a reporter for the news is also a bad guy who's trying to get all the kids emancipated from their parents. And then, North just is like, hey, you know what? I think, I'm going to go back to my parents. And, and then the little kid who runs, who's also the reporter and also trying to do all these other things. And technically he's turned out to be a bad guy. And he wants all the kids to attack North, and then he puts a hit on North, and I'm like, what? What is this movie? And then, Bruce Willis, he's in this movie. He's everywhere. He's everywhere in this movie. And then, oh my God. Oh God. It just gets worse. Like, seriously, he has to meet back at the judge at like some kind of department store before the time runs out, so it's a race against time. And then North finds his parents, and then he tries to hug him, and then all of a sudden the guy pulls out a gun and shoots him, and boom, it turns out to be a dream, and Bruce Willis is there, and oh God, the movie, it's terrible. It's literally terrible. I'm almost crying. Oh, God. God, please help me. Oh. That's why I made it number one. It's terrible. It's very terrible. Please don't let me watch it ever again. Please, I beg you. Please don't. Okay, I think I've talked about the least favorite movies for enough time. And with that, I'm going to take a short break. But when we come back, my top 10 favorite movies of all time. So please stick around. You're listening to Big C in the Morning on WUDG Underground Columbus, home of the unsigned artists, and we shall be back in a moment.
Yo, it's the number one station for unsigned independent artists right here at WUDG Underground Columbus.
Hi, my name is Tina Green, and I enjoy Ohio Media School because of the staff. They are really helpful and encouraging, and the students. What I plan on doing next is videographer and podcast, and just working on my dreams and see where I go. Bye for now.
All right, we're back here on WDG Underground Columbus, home of the unsigned artist, and this is Big C in the morning. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the best list of today. My top 10 favorite movies of all time. Now, I had to go through all the material and all the stuff to, figure out what movie did I think was the best movie. And, I had to go through a bunch of movies and, just reaccount them. Like, how good were they? And, and stuff. So, here we go. Top 10. Starting at number 10, it's a superhero movie. Deadpool. Honestly, one of the best R-rated superhero movies of all time. Because why? It's funny, it's action-packed, and it's wisecracking and fourth wall breaking. And, Ryan Reynolds. Man, he's come a long way from being, known as the Green Lantern who flopped to, just amazing in Deadpool. Like, seriously. He was absolutely a great Deadpool. He's going to be, like, the Deadpool. He does Deadpool, like, amazing in this movie. Now, there's a lot of good voice actors who've done Deadpool, like, in animation and video games, but Ryan Reynolds is, like, the Deadpool that everybody knows and enjoys. And, like, the plot's good, the story's good, and, everything is just good about that movie. It's pretty good. And, yeah, that's all I have to say about Deadpool. It's pretty good, it's action-packed, it's fun, and I believe a lot of superhero lovers and comic book lovers will like this movie. So, yeah. Down to number 9. Another superhero movie. Yeah, back-to-back superhero movies. Spider-Man 2. Now, I had to pick between either Spider-Man 1 or Spider-Man 2, and I felt like Spider-Man 2 had the number 9 hold. Because how do you succeed after a blockbuster hit from your first movie? You do it better. And that's why, the effects, the special effects, the acting, it's all good. It's all in there. It makes it a superhero movie. Like, Sam Raimi, he did amazing. And I'm talking about the Sam Raimi Spider-Man 2. Not the Amazing Spider-Man 2 and not Spider-Man Far From Home. I'm talking about the real Spider-Man 2. The Spider-Man 2 from 2004. Now, that was a good movie. That one is a good movie. And, Sam Raimi, he's directed so many great, sequels. And honestly, this one, Spider-Man 2, has to be one of the greatest sequels he has ever created. And I think Spider-Man 2 earned more money than, Spider-Man 1. So it clearly shows that, you put a guy who's directed a bunch of, horror movies, you put him in that action superhero setting, he can make a movie, he can make that superhero movie look good. Especially with the part in the hospital scene with Doc Ock. Like, he puts some of his horror elements and some superhero elements, and it just makes it perfect. Like, the story of how Dr. Octopus was, created, it was just great. And, I truly say that, Spider-Man 2 is one of the greatest Spider-Man movies of all time. Now, you're probably asking, have you seen the other Spider-Man movies? No, I have not, but I will try to see them as soon as I can. But yeah, Spider-Man 2, directed by Sam Raimi and starring Tobey Maguire, is a pretty good sequel to a pretty good Spider-Man film back in, the Spider-Man film back in 2002. That was good, but Spider-Man 2, even better. Even better. Now, moving on to number 8. A classic movie. Full Metal Jacket, directed by Stanley Kubrick. Now, this film, it takes place during the Vietnam War, and I had to say it's a pretty good Vietnam War movie. It's all about this guy named Joker who gets into the army and befriends Cowboy, this guy named Private Cowboy, and basically Joker just shows you, well, technically Kubrick through the eyes of Joker, shows you all the things that the soldiers went through in the Vietnam War, the basic training, and then when Private Joker gets to Vietnam, he basically shows you all the things what happened in Vietnam, and then in like the climax when they're all getting ambushed by an attacker, they find out that their attacker is a child, and they basically realize how difficult Vietnam is and how it's going to be changing the world. And Stanley Kubrick doing a movie on this, it's pretty good. Like he actually made a great representation of what the Vietnam War was. And it was a unjust war, and it was a war that, everyone was seeing, and they were like, wow, this was pretty sad. Like, the war was pretty sad back in, 1968 and into the 70s. Like, not a lot of, 70s or 80s people will know about that, but, like, not a lot of people born in the 60s during the Vietnam War, they're not going to know what happened. And Stanley Kubrick said, I'm going to show these people what Vietnam was like back in the 60s, and I'm going to give it as a representation of how war is and how it can, mentally affect somebody. Like, look at what happened to Private Pyle. It was in basic training, but still. And honestly, this was a good, hard-hitting film. It is a cult classic, and Full Metal Jacket did deserve to be on my top 10 list. It's pretty good, and you should check it out. Now, moving on to number 7, My Cousin Vinny. Now, this movie is pretty good. Imagine, like, a tough New York mafia guy decides to become a lawyer. And he's, defending a family member in a murder case. And if his family member, is guilty, he gets sentenced to death. And the funny thing is, the lawyer doesn't know anything. This is his first official case. And basically, it's hilarious. Basically, Joe Pesci is Vinny, who tries to get his cousin, who is played by Ralph Macchio, out of trouble along with his friend, who are being framed for, a murder, a murder and robbery. So basically, Vinny doesn't know anything about the judicial system or anything about, being a lawyer, because this is actually his first case. He's only had 6 months of, being a lawyer. And that's what's funny. Seeing Vinny do what he does, in court, and how he miraculously saves the day when, he compiles all this evidence and all this, stuff together, and boom, he wins. It's truly amazing. And it's a definitely good comedy to see when you have time. So, yeah. Good film. Now on to number 6. 6 is One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Now, this is an Academy Award-winning film starring Jack Nicholson and also starring a lot of other guys who got their start in, Hollywood, like Christopher Lloyd and Danny DeVito. These were their first film roles. Seriously. It was their first film roles. Basically, it's all about this guy named Randall P. McMurphy, who was played by Nicholson, who's trying to get out of labor jail, as it's called in the book. Or, yeah, it's another movie, novel-based movie, so basically, he gets out of work, out of, the labor camp in jail by saying he's mentally insane, and hilarity and enjoyment ensues. And basically, all he's trying to do is like, since he's been declared, insane, he has a plan to break out, along with I believe it's the tall guy that I think his name was Chief. But I'm gonna check. Yeah, Chief Bromden. And Will Sampson. Yeah, Will Sampson, who plays Chief Bromden, was a great choice for him. And all these guys like Louise Fletcher, Brad Dourif. Yeah, Brad Dourif, the guy who plays Chucky, is in this movie. Danny DeVito, Christopher Lloyd, all these guys, all these actors and actresses who were in this movie truly made it great. Especially Louise Fletcher. She played a mean, what was the nurse's? Mean Nurse Ratched. Seriously. Nurse Ratched in the book was mean, but I believe Louise Fletcher was meaner in the movie. And that's why it's great. It's amazing. And it deserved number 6 on my list. Now, number 5 is another R-rated movie. So I've had like 4 R-rated movies in a row. Well, actually, soon to be 5. So, number 5 is Stand By Me. Now, this movie is based off of the short story by Stephen King, which was known as The Body. Basically, 4 kids go to look for a dead body. And man, it actually was pretty good. It was pretty good. Stand By Me was pretty good. Like, seriously, I had a great cast of young guys. Like, Will Wheaton, he was in the movie. River Phoenix was in the movie. Corey Feldman, Jerry O'Connell, and even Kiefer Sutherland was in the movie before he became, famous as Jack Bauer on 24. And, Rob Reiner, he directed the movie, and he did a great job directing. Although he directed North, I feel bad for him, directing a silly movie like North, but, when he does things like, novel-based movies like, Stand By Me, it's pretty good. It's actually pretty good. And, it shows, that, friends will be there, but in the end, when you get older, they'll soon, distance themselves from you. And what's crazy is Richard Dreyfuss was in the movie as Gordy LaChance, as an adult, which is actually a pretty good casting role. And there's a lot of crazy stuff in the movie. But the ending, though, is superb. And that's why it deserves number 5. And definitely check it out. It's a good find. Number 4, 1917. A World War I war movie all about 2 guys trying to send a message to an army general of the British Army trying to, start an attack on the Germans, but they realize it's actually, it was actually, it was a trap. it was a trap. So I saw this movie in the theaters with my best friend Maggie, and I thought it was pretty good. Like, seriously. Like, in the middle, like during the middle, in like the middle part of the movie, it's now just a one-man army. Like, seriously, only one person is, just by himself, taking on the Germans. And I thought it reminded me of, those Medal of Honor games where you're just a one-man army trying to take down the Germans who are doing naughty things, like naughty and bad things. And I thought it was a great movie. Like, 1970 is a great movie. And it's also one consistent shot. It was the first ever movie to be one whole consistent shot, which means it was just one continuous shot all throughout the movie. And that is impressive, and that's why it deserved number 4 here. It's that good. It's that good if you do it in one continuous shot. That good. It's that good. Now on to number 3. These are what I call the big 3. Why? Because... well, it's because, they're just good. Number 3, Back to the Future. Directed by Robert Zemeckis and, produced by Steven Spielberg's company, Amblin Entertainment. It's a pretty good movie. Like, seriously, it's a comedy, it's a sci-fi, it has a little action. It's basically a movie that I've always wanted to, watch. Like, it's pretty good. But, and it's just good. It's just good. It's all about a guy who gets sent back to the past by a DeLorean, and, he meets his parents, and now he's about to be erased from existence because his mom has a crush on him. And hilarity just ensues. It just ensues, people. And that's why I thought it was pretty good. It's fun. It's amazing. It's good. Back to the Future, number 3. Now I gotta get these out again, 1 and 2 quick. So number 2 is The Shawshank Redemption. Why? Good casting, good story. Frank Darabont does a pretty good job at directing this movie. Picking Ohio, like the Ohio State Penitentiary in Mansfield as your setting, superb, because, it's technically what your prison would look like. Like a normal prison. Like the outside. They basically filmed the outside of prison here. They've actually filmed a few scenes there in Mansfield, and then they filmed like other scenes like out of Mansfield. And that's why it's a good movie. It has the atmosphere and the, story to go off of. And I actually read the book, the short story, Rita Hayworth on Shawshank Redemption. A lot of similarities and a lot of unsimilarities, but, ending's good. All about Andy Dufresne and how he got framed for murder and stuff. How he meets friends, how he survives jail life, and then how he gets out of jail. Oh, spoiler alert. Whoops. But, anyways, that's good. And now, number 1 is Forrest Gump. Why? It's amazing. It's a good story. Lots of historical information in there. Just a lot of great things that went into the movie. Seriously. And it shows how he, how all these things happen to him. All these things happen to him. He gets the girl at the end. And that's what's good about that movie. Forrest Gump is pretty good. Now, I do have some honorable mentions, so here they are. South Park, Bigger, Longer, and Uncut, Shrek, Space Jam, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and Batman. The 1989 version of Batman. Honestly, I wanted to put, Ferris Bueller's Day Off in here, in my list, but oh well. Oh, well. So, yeah. And we also got some comments. So, before we go into break, our music break, I'll read some comments. And from David Clark, my friend from Texas. He says the basketball game in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest was awesome. Oh, yeah, there was a basketball game. Yeah, it was pretty amazing and funny. It was a pretty good scene. You all should check out the basketball scene in that movie. And then he says Kiefer was a-hole in that movie on Stand By Me. Yeah. But he actually played a good bad guy. He played a mean bully. And he says great number 1 for Forrest Gump. Yeah. Forrest Gump. Technically the greatest film of all time. As said by me. Did anyone else say it? No. It's just by me. So yeah, those are my best movies of all time that I've seen in my life in 20 years of my life. So I hope my list was enjoyable. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have problems with my lists, yeah, just tell me, and I'll tell you why, or I feel ya. So yeah. But anyways, guys, it's time to go to a music break. When we come back, I'll end the show. So, yeah. So, stay tuned. You're listening to Big C in the Morning on WDG Underground Columbus, home of the Unsigned Artist. And now here's a party song for my birthday. And what good party song could we go with other than, The Dog? Because he has some good songs. And I especially like this one party song that will really, make everything feel good. It's none other than Hit the Lights!
Walked up in the building, liking what I see. A lot of fine women, man, winking back at me. Just met this little cutie, representing Philly. For the party's over, we getting kinda naughty. Show love to my dogs, show love to my crew. And if I buy you a drink, you know I rock you with you. Hey yo, that's my DJ, rocking it up on the stage. Hand me the mic, dog, this is what I say. Turn the lights out, turn the music up. If you came to party, man, get your hands up. Turn the lights out, turn the music up. If you came to party, baby, get your hands up. Turn the lights out, turn the music up. If you came to party, player, get your hands up. Turn the lights out, turn the music up. If you came to party, girl, get your hands up. DJ, hit the lights. Two more for the show, 3 more for the people. DJ, here we go, put the guns down. Drinks all around, the party of the week, man, about to go down. The dance floor's packed, everybody drinking. The ugly ones, the pretty ones, the bartenders drinking. Dead on the dance floor, get it how you live. You only live once, so get it all in. Turn the lights out, turn the music up. If you came to party, man, get your hands up. Turn the lights out, turn the music up. If you came to party, baby, get your hands up. Turn the lights out, turn the music up. If you came to party, player, get your hands up. Turn the lights out, turn the music up. If you came to party, girl, get your hands up. DJ, hit the lights. This is how we party. Hands up. We all let the party. Lights out. This is how we party. Hands up. Man, we about to lights out. This is how we party. Hands up. We all acting naughty. Lights out. This is how we party. Hands up. We all acting naughty. Yo, we about to hit the lights. Man, we about to hit the lights. This is how we party.
stuck in nostalgia like me.
And we are back on WDG Underground Columbus, home of the unsigned artist. And this is Big C in the morning. Well, in just 3 days, guys, I will be 20 years old. And I'm already feeling old already. You know? And to be honest with you guys, I've seen a lot of things happen in my 20 years being here on Earth. And I've met a lot of great people. A lot of great people who have great personalities, and just they've been great. I've met a lot of great people, and they're all great. If there's one thing I could have done different with my life, it would have been be less weird. During all my 20 years, I have been weird. I've been a weird kid. But, I still get, sometimes, weirdness in me. But, I'm just trying to, work hard to be a normal human being. And, when I hit my 20s, I gotta stop being a teenager and start being an adult. Stop being a smart A kid. I just gotta be, an adult. Gotta, take care of my finances. Gotta take care of a lot of stuff. Gotta take a lot of care of, future. My future. My job future. And hopefully in the next 20 years, I'll see myself somewhere on top, on the radio. And possibly, meet another round of great people in my life. And hopefully the great people in my life continue to be by my side as my friends or colleagues or whatever. Because, it's important not to lose the people close to you. It's very important. And hopefully they don't lose me. But, yeah. But anyways, guys, that is my time here on WDG Underground Columbus. That is the end of the show. It's time for me to go. And I gotta go play my new video game. New video games, so yeah. But, yeah. Also, I don't get my controller yet till probably Monday or Tuesday, I don't know. But I got a sweet deal on the controller. It was supposed to be $60, but I got it for $48. So, yeah. Booyah. Anyways, again, thank you all for tuning in. Next week, 2 new topics. We'll talk about them. If I can try to figure out what topics to talk about tomorrow. Not tomorrow, next week. What? This show isn't on a weekly basis. Well, it is on a weekly basis, but not a daily basis. So, yeah. Anyways, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for watching. Hopefully, I'll see you guys all next week. So, yeah. Now it's time for me to celebrate my 20th birthday. So, with that being said, this has been the birthday edition show of Big C in the Morning on WDG Underground Columbus, home of the unsigned artist. My name is Big C, the birthday boy. And I am out of here. I try to do something that deserves a wah wah. No, not that. Not a rim shot. There we go. That's the right sound effect. So yeah, guys, have a great weekend. Have a great rest of your Friday. And also, since it's going to be Mother's Day this weekend, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there that have taken care of me. Well, not taking care of me, but taking care of you. You know, I'm just going to stop talking because I'm going to mess up my words. So, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. Say happy Mother's Day to your mother. Love your mother. Just love your moms, people. Love all your mothers. So, yeah. Bring the love this weekend. So, yeah. I'm just going to go now. See you guys next week.